Deputy Lord Lieutenant, invited guests, it falls to me as the vicar of this beautiful building here to welcome you here tonight to this, the third of our light festivals that we have held here. And it is a real joy to see so many people who are here. I always say at many of our community events that this building that we have here in Doncaster, yes, it's a place of worship and a place of prayer, and long may that be the case. But I think it's such an iconic building for Doncaster that when we use it for these community events, then it just brings it alive even more, I think. And I think having this light festival again, as I know the other two that we have had have been so brilliant, that it'll show this building literally in a new light tonight again for us. So it's a great joy after the 20 months that we have had of the pandemic, that we can come together as the community here in Doncaster and do something very special and unique that is for the Doncaster people. When we had our first Light Festival, somebody said to me who was visiting, how is it that we've got this moon here in Doncaster, as if we weren't supposed to have these things? And I said, well, we got it because people have worked incredibly hard to get it, but also because we deserve it, because we are who we are here in Doncaster. And this is another of those events tonight. And it only happens because there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to get it here. And it's a great joy of ours to be able to work with Right Up Our Streets. And I'm now going to introduce to you Sally Lockie, who's the programme director of Right Up Our Streets, and she will be able to tell you a little bit more of what it is we're doing. So welcome, one and all. We're in for a very special evening.
Thank you. I feel like I'm on deck. This is ace. So I'm Sally Lockie, Project Director for Right Up Our Street. Right Up Our Street are a creative people and places project for Doncaster. We're funded by Arts Council England and DNBC. We're able to operate thanks to the support of our lead organisation, which is Doncaster Culture and Leisure Trust. And with their support, we've been able to continue delivering work for the community of Doncaster throughout the pandemic. And it is with the guidance of the community that we're able to programme events like this, because it is very much about programming work that is for them and is relevant, and actually something that's memorable, something that you're able to attend with your family and you'll be able to look back on fondly as being an unusual but special experience. This is the third of our Light Festivals. I personally think it's the best yet, but don't tell the other artists. I would like to thank a few people while I'm up here. As I said, most definitely the community, the individuals that have helped us throughout, supported us to deliver projects that have been relevant. I really want to thank my team, Beth Pryor and Lizzie Hewitt, who have been absolutely outstanding, because we are a team of three and we work very hard to deliver the projects that we work on. I'd also like to thank the team here at the Minster. They let us come in, take over the building, we test them, and they are massively supportive of everything that we suggest. This year, with the support of Events Doncaster, we've been able to bring the TP outside, which has some extra activity and will be here throughout the festival. So we're super grateful to them for their support this year. There's also lots and lots of people in the audience and milling about, the staff, the volunteers, our consortium, who have been able to enable this project and this event to happen today. We wouldn't be able to do it without them, so again, I'm super grateful. Right, I'm going to stop thanking people now. I'm going to hand over to Damien Allen now, who's going to be looking after us this evening. Thank you again all for coming.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Damien Allen. I'm the Chief Executive of Doncaster Council, and it's a real honour to have been invited to host this evening's amazing event. And we're very proud to be in partnership with Right Up Our Street. And I think the point that Sally's just made around the community, if we're not careful, we tend to think about art as high culture only. What we're doing here is bringing an accessible opportunity to the community, and that changing perceptions around what you expect to see in Doncaster, what you expect to see in the Minster, is exactly what Right Up Our Street does. So you are in for a really, really interesting and I think enjoyable evening. Without any further ado, I'm going to introduce the first section, and this section will include poetry written by local poets from across the borough, born from the unique experience of living through the pandemic. And several of these poems are included in A View from a Lockdown Land, a poetry anthology co-created by Read to Write, which is a local poetry group, and care homes across Balby and Mexborough. And I want to introduce the poet who's going to sort of just outline the rest of the section, which is Mick Jenkinson. Mick's a poet, a songwriter, a musician, a freelance art practitioner from Doncaster, and he's also an associate member of Right Up Our Street and runs Well Spoken, which is a monthly open mic night at Doncaster Brewery. And his secondary poetry pamphlet, When the Waters Rise, was published last year by Calder Valley Poetry. So, Mick, over to you.
Thanks, Damien. Right, just to let you know what this is about and how it's come about. Earlier this year, Right Up Our Street's Culture Cooperative published A View from a Lockdown Land. It was an anthology by Doncaster's Read to Write poetry group. And the book was a poetic record of life in 2020, reflections and reactions of the contributors to living under lockdown and coronavirus and the effect that it was having on all of us. So this spring we devised a project to take the anthology into a number of Doncaster's care homes, together with a series of prompts for writing exercises that the residents might like to engage in, and using the book as source material. The exercises were around written reactions to the poems in the anthology, and the responses ranged from a few shared thoughts through to fully developed poems. And then we took those responses, passed them back to the poets whose work had inspired them, and asked them if they'd write a poem in answer. So the dialogue between the poets and the residents became an inside view from a lockdown land, a new anthology and a companion piece to the first volume. It collects those thoughts, writings and poems and presents them in the form of a conversation between the poet and the person who'd been moved to respond to the first anthology. And it's fair to say that the results exceeded our wildest expectations, creating a unique illustration of accessible community poetry, which we believe serves as a valuable addition to the record of this unprecedented period and provides a moving testament to what we've had to endure. Tonight we've invited several of the Read to Write poets whose work featured in an inside view to read their dialogue with the care home resident as it's displayed in the book. And the format is such that the care home, the submission from the care home resident is on one page, the poet's response is across on the other page. So before I pass you over to the poets, Right Up Our Street would like to thank the following people who gave their time and their creative energy to make this happen. Firstly, the members of our Read to Write poetry group, and then the residents and the staff of Sandygate Residential and Dementia Care Home in Wathpond, Swallowwood Nursing Care Home in Mexborough, Cedars Care Home in Balby, Quarryfields Complex Needs Care Home in Balby, the Beaches Care Home in Armthorpe, and the Monday Smile a While Group in Thorn. So I'm going to begin by reading the poem that I wrote by way of introduction to the anthology, and it's called These Words. These words don't serve as elegy for lives not fairly spent, but burn with hope for futures yet waiting to be claimed. We've leaned into the little things and rooted round for treasures, delighted in those half-forgotten, small and gentle pleasures. See how a bee flits through the field from poppy onto clover, humming a tune for you and me. Soon this will be all over. These words too serve as epitaph for those we've loved and lost, for those unfairly taken who deserve to be proclaimed. They're making do and mending, spilling from the pages, standing as our testimony, ringing down the ages. These words are loosed out in the world. These words are taking wing. They carry on the wings of fate. Now watch them soar and sing. Thank you. So each poet will introduce themselves as we go through the sequence. Unfortunately, our first reader could not make it tonight, Mr. Paul Evansky, but we've got an able stand-in from the Read to Write group, and I'm going to pass you over to Mr. Paul Dyson.
Thank you, Mick. I'm privileged to be here tonight to read a poem by Paul Evansky, who, as Mick said, couldn't be here. The anthology from View from a Lockdown Land, Dorothy of the Beeches Nursing Home in Armthorpe chose a line from one of Paul's poems, The Gardener, and the line being, "The sun warm upon my face." And from that line, Dorothy wrote a response. "This is my safe place, feeling the warmth of the sun on myself, my face, my body." And in response to that response by Dorothy, Paul wrote this poem, Refuge. Listening to the poplars, leaves gossip, the breeze gently blowing through swaying bamboo canes, sunlight calmly bathing. Is there any safer, warmer place to be? Thank you.
Good evening, Sue Jarvis. My original poem, I sent into the care home from the anthology, was The Birds Still Sing. And Cassandra Wright from Quarryfields responded thus: "We have birds at our care home, outside. They fly to the trees and on the fence. They have talking to each other. My ears listen to the birds. Some birds come near to me in the garden. I felt excited to be close to a bird, and I like birds. Even in lockdown, the birds are still singing." To which I replied, "I curse her for raking through the tender plants that I put out to harden while the sun is high, but applaud her doggedness as she beaks her way through the soil to find the fibre that will line her nest. Who told her she should build a nest, a safe place to rear her brood? Who told her to make it strong but snug? I smile while watching her mate on the fence, keeping watch for danger, keeping her safe. His mate who holds his offspring in her womb. I watch as they fly, not too far, and wonder at how much she has crammed in her beak. How many times they have returned, taking away the soft foliage and dry debris, rubbish and mess to you and me. But treasure to a mother-to-be blackbird. He calls to her, a note so pure. Just a second, I have room in my beak for a little more. She twitters back. Then off they both go. He flies high and she flies low. I see the hedge she has chosen for a home. I feel protective. Is it high enough? Is it safe? I will be vigilant and watch as Mother Nature shows her wonders, as this wildlife story unfolds, and look forward to the fruit of her labour. Thank you.
Evening. So, my name is Paul Brooks. In response to a view from lockdown land, Colin of Sandygate Nursing Home composed these lines. Sandygate. This is our fortress, and what it's about is keeping the coronavirus out. If we keep it out, we can safely say we residents should be okay. But it only wants one unsuspecting carrier to break down our safety barrier. Lots of services come in and out, but that's something we can do out about. It's up to them to come in clear. That's another plus for being in here. So it's up to us to do our bit, just to try and stop moaning and get on with it. Do what we do in stormy weather, cover up and stick together. When it's clear, if we're fit and hearty, we'll laugh about it at the Christmas party. In reply, I wrote, keep safe, stay safe. Keep safe, stay safe here. Carers use armour, masks, gloves, gowns and more. Take tests, sanitizer, plastic face visor. They will keep you safe and well from danger. Life gets ever stranger. Life has changed forever. Change is tough for some, but perseverance and strong forbearance recover laughter. Replace frown with smile. Enjoy the party. Be fit and hearty.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Pauline, and I live in Bentley, and I've lived here all my life. My first poem is called It Means a Lot. It means a lot to hear someone say, "What can I get you from the shops today?" Especially when one is a nurse who has to deal with so much worse. Thank you, Sharon, for your special care, delivering my pint of milk with flair. That's poem number 1. And this one is, again, inspired by COVID, as they all have been. But basically to my family. It's called To Family, and in brackets it says future-proof, which I hope families always will be. I'm missing your hugs so very much. More than ever, we realise how important is touch. Just now, closeness has gone from our lives, but it will return to all who survive. As sure as eggs are eggs, my nan would have said. Why, I don't know. I'm just glad she did. It's funny how these words we remember, sometimes strange, but always tender. So let's keep going, whatever we do. Our memories of each other will see us through. And we will make new ones in the years to come, just the same as we've always done. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Tracy. I go to the Read group. Tonight I'm reading on behalf of John Beale, who unfortunately can't be here due to work commitments. A lady called Mary from Swallowwood Nursing Home responded to John Beale's poem. So John's poem went, "My heart sings your face. Each night my heart whispers eternally, singing visions of your wonderful face. My heart weeps because this is true." And Mary wrote, "Makes me think about my husband, Harry. I see his face every night when I'm alone in my room. Not seeing my family as much has made me think more of Harry, and my heart is heavy because he's no longer there." So John replied, "The things we did. The clouds of time are lifted when I recall the things we did, and the sun shines bright as laughter as I recall the things we did. So all the days the future holds are filled with sweet, fond memories that, recalling, I pass on to those who care to hear visions of the things we did." Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ian. It's a privilege to be involved in this project and a pleasure to be here tonight, and my particular pleasure to finish this section. I want to thank Mick Jenkinson for all the hard work he put in getting this anthology together and organising this evening. I was very lucky in that I received this response from Faye Hoyle. So I'll read that first, and then I'll read the poem that I wrote based on it. Faye wrote, "Take away my house, take away my money, take away my dreams. You have left me only memories. The doors are locked. We can't get out no matter how we scream and shout. Each day is like the one before. There is no difference anymore. No washing day, no cleaning day, no shopping day, not much to say. I'll walk where it's green beneath the trees. All the things I've missed once again I'll see. My arms will hold, my lips will kiss. To touch again will be such bliss. My faith I could rely upon, and I could be at one. More time for prayer, more time for song, to help the day to drift along. I know I'm safe, I know I'm well. I know one day the time will tell. It's time no longer to stay. I will be called to a better place, and I will spend eternity at peace." And in response, I wrote a poem called Afterwards. Afterwards. After they had taken away the mornings and the afternoons, they took away the moonshine and the night. I watched them as they came and painted out my windows with a coat of black. Soon afterwards, there was no light at all, and sounds came muffled first, then stopped. This lasted for a long, long time. My memories made the grass shoot up again, hung leaves on every tree, and forced the clear streams from the ground. Afterwards, there will be birdsong. The things they took, just worthless things, and I will wake up to another day. Thank you.
Wow, what powerful, poignant poems from people in this place. I think they deserve another collective round of applause. Brilliant. We're going to have a slight change of format now because it gives me great pleasure to be able to introduce the depictions of DN film and an accompanying live performance of the score. This film was created by artist James Lockie and features 13 local heroes selected by the public for their hard work over the pandemic. And in tribute to these key workers and volunteers, musician Hayley Ewell has composed a score that has been performed by the South Yorkshire Police Brass Band, Doncaster Choral Society and the Swag and Swaglets choirs at Darts. It's a privilege to celebrate our local heroes with this launch of the depiction of DN film, with a very, very special live performance of the score, which is called All Kinds, brackets, Courageous. The depictions of the DN film will be available to view for the remainder of the festival in the teepees on the grounds outside. Before I just hand over to Hayley, I just want to say a little bit about her. Hayley Ewell is a creative collaborator, musician and a composer based in the north. Over the last 10 years, Hayley has been involved in developing arts for health initiatives in her hometown of Barnsley. She's a founding member of the charity Creative Recovery and works part-time for the Culture, Health and Wellbeing Alliance. Hayley, over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it's rather wonderful, but also quite unbelievable to be here tonight with you all. It's also an honour to introduce the depictions film created by a talented local filmmaker, James Lockie, and featuring some, as we've heard, some incredible people who live here in Doncaster and have done wonderful things to support the community. And it's also great to be here to play the original score together with the people who have been so integral to shaping and creating it over the last 6 months. So, along with the depiction entries, the soundtrack to this film evolved from a parallel series of conversations, working with both the Doncaster Choral Society and the Swag and Swaglet choirs at Darts this summer. We shared affirming stories of the individual and collective strength in the face of the adversity, yet other themes started to emerge about our own vulnerability, how many of us felt powerless, frozen, our need for connection and the fragility and importance of hope. As Rebecca Solnit says, hope just means another world might be possible, not promised, not guaranteed. Hope calls for action. Action is impossible without hope. So we had big conversations about how the world and how our worlds had changed, how our experience had shifted our concept, appreciation and understanding of nature, of friendship, of community and of life. There was also a clear direction about the essence of what this music should be, which came out of these conversations. Yes, we wanted something that would reflect the time, but also a willing reminder to everyone to break the stillness, to find courageous ways to act with love within the constraints, and that those very connections, those moments, however small, in turn, nurtures a sense of community, of meaning and hope. And in the process of actually making this project, we have all at times battled with the challenges and impact of COVID, both as humans and as musicians. And in response, like the community here in Doncaster and our communities across the country, all kinds of generosity of spirit, patience, problem solving and determination have emerged in response, reaffirming both to me and I think many people involved in the project, the resilience of humanity and of creativity. I'd like to take this time now to say a big thanks to all the wonderful collaborators, because this really was a collaborative project who have made this possible. So firstly to the Doncaster Choral Society and the Swag and Swaglets choirs for being so open and committed and just generally ace, as you'll hear in a moment, especially after running into recording of this new work just after only being able to come back to sing together in a room again. So thank you. Special thanks to Madge and Kay and Simon from the Choral Society, and also to Alice, DL and Sophie from Darts, all of whom have been extremely supportive in getting things right in terms of the music, the experience, but also the safety. Butter stars. Next, the South Yorkshire Police Band for being so generous and flexible and committed, and to many of the members here running from vital jobs as nurses, medical theatre staff and officers to be with us here tonight. A special thanks to Simon, band manager, for his steady orchestration of plans and moral support, and for also introducing me to Lee. So, Lee Baker, for his mastery in arranging this work, from musical sketches, references, long emails and conversations, for singing ideas back and forth to each other via Glitch and Zoom, and working with Dave Fretwell to create scores to share with the groups. And he's here tonight leading us as conductor. You've been a constant source of musicality, perspective and encouragement to us all, so thank you, Lee. Andy Stewart, I don't think he's here tonight, but he was the producer for this project and he brought great technical and production skills to the whole operation, managing the recording process with the challenges of working in different spaces, contending with COVID considerations and time constraints, and also managing to create an epic sound for the film. For Gary and Co, the technical team this evening, Clive, and to Darren, the Minster MD, for stepping in and bringing the majestic organ sound to the performance tonight as well, thank you. And finally, but not least, the Right Up Our Street team, Sally, Betty and Lizzie, for the vision and involving me in it, and for all the support along the way, particularly Beth, who has been such an anchor throughout, thank you. So, it just feels like I could say thank you forever, but I will stop now, but just to say, as you watch this film, as you encounter this film tonight, and the music, it is almost like a meditation, it is a dedication, but it's also an invitation to acknowledge those celebrated on screen and a prompt for us to hold in our minds, all of our minds, those people who along the way during this challenging time brought and continue to bring us comfort and support through kindness and care, all in the most heroic, unexpected and also beautifully, ordinary human ways, igniting that spark of hope and reminding us to be courageous and fierce in our love for each other and our community and our place. Let us keep passing the light. I hope you have a wonderful time at the festival tonight, and I'm now going to welcome the South Yorkshire Police Band to the stage, the Doncaster Choral Society and the Flag and Flagettes. Thank you.
streets sleep, yet they find a new beat with the eighth chime. The eighth chime. Impossible feats where ordinary live far from all life. Takes all kinds.
Ace is one word, another one is just quite simply beautiful. Thank you very much indeed, the combined choirs, and also Lee for the conducting of the band, and Hayley for composing an amazing, amazing score. Can we give them a really, really rousing round of applause? That was phenomenal. Schoenberg there for a second. Great art has a way of taking you on an emotional journey, speaking to the very soul of humanity. And I don't know about you, but I couldn't fail to be moved by the collective collaboration that we've just experienced. Powerful stuff. We're going to have a short seated interlude whilst we move some furniture ahead of the unveiling of the lightwork. So feel free to shuffle about in your seat, have a conversation with the person next to you, and just revel in the wonder of what you've experienced. We'll be with you in a couple of minutes. Thanks very much. starting in about a minute if you want to settle yourselves. Thank you. And just like that, we're back again. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the pièce de résistance of the evening on our Light Festival, Crossing Places. Now, you'll be familiar with the big screen. We've gone one better because this is a giant screen. I dare to say this, but it is literally up in the gods. Crossing Places has been bespokely designed by the artists Heinrich and Palmer, St George's Minster, here in Doncaster, using the archive at Dainham Gallery, Library and Museum, working in partnership with Heritage Doncaster, DGLAM and the Yorkshire Wildlife Park. The Crossing Place focuses on strong connections with wildlife and nature conservation, and the artists were inspired by the painting Animals in a Landscape, an African Scene, by Ramsay Richard Reinagle in the Dainham Gallery, Library and Museum. And the scene depicts Ouston Hall near Ascot and its landscape of exotic and native animals. It's interesting because it's rare that I get to say this, but I was having a conversation with HRH, the Earl of Wessex, when he visited a fortnight ago at the Dainham Gallery, Library and Museum, about this very painting, at the point at which I wasn't aware of Heinrich and Palmer's light installation. So there's some strange royal patronage already for this piece of art. So I want to say a little bit about Heinrich and Palmer, two UK artists who've worked in collaboration since the 1990s. They have a broad-based cross-disciplinary practice which encompasses installations, large-scale projection, film, and photography, we say large-scale, giant-scale projection. Their work is primarily site-specific and uses projection, light, and immersive installations to reveal hidden narratives or create ambiguous meaning. Heinrich and Palmer, thank you.
Put my glasses on. Thank you, Damien. It's brilliant to be in Doncaster, especially after this last 20 months. I'll give you a little bit of background to the project, because there's always a lot more work goes on behind the scenes than actually you'll ever see. It's taken us definitely on a bit of a journey. It began the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic, when Sally Lockie got in touch with us, kind of out of the blue actually, and we were interested in exploring local stories that were related to the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower voyage, but because of the pandemic, 2020 has become 2021, and we needed to find different narratives, and I suppose the context has changed completely. We needed to sort of think of maybe different approaches to how we would actually make work for this amazing site. We knew the site initially, and we'd come to visit, which is an absolutely phenomenal building. And so the idea of a crossing place has always grown out of visiting Doncaster and being about Doncaster itself. And so through conversations with Sally and right up our street and the team at Doncaster Museum, we were really interested in unearthing aspects of Doncaster heritage and a sense of place that are perhaps less talked about or less well known. You probably know better than me about that. Historically, Doncaster has been a staging post for routes between the south and the north, and a key railway town, as you all know. And now it's still an important transport hub and a distribution centre. And kind of almost, we kind of had this feeling that it was almost a crossing place in itself. So we started discovering various aspects, different stories, and one of the stories was this history of wildlife and wildlife conservation in the area. So there was this long association with wildlife parks dating back at least as far as the 19th century, with the Ouston Hall estate, which was home to a range of native and non-native creatures, including the now extinct quagga. And if you've never seen a quagga, it's quite a strange-looking creature, a kind of a hybrid zebra. And there's actually one in the Damon Museum, which is a very curious example. I think it's a quagga once removed. But then there was also interesting to learn that in the 1950s that the grounds surrounding the original Doncaster Museum was home to the Beachfield Zoo. Now you've got the Yorkshire Wildlife Park, which has got over 400 animals, 70 different species, and is a centre of conservation and welfare. So we found more evidence, and this is when we started looking into the collection more, for the museum's natural history collection. And there's this amazing collection of taxidermy, stuffed animals, and many of those have come from the Beachfield Zoo and other specimens from other zoos around the country, all gifted by the public. And when we first went to see it, so earlier this year, we came up to, we live on the south coast, by the way, despite the accent. We visited the taxidermy collection at the old museum, and it's incredible. It was an incredible sight. There's just rows and rows of different types of animals, all mixed together. And we were really interested in the way that you would get, for example, there was one bit where there was this very, very large, mean-looking eagle looking down at a very tiny little monkey, but of course there's this sense of threat about it. But we were just interested in the way that these creatures would kind of relate to each other in ways that you wouldn't see in nature, not necessarily. And this got us thinking about the way that this painting kind of worked, this kind of almost Garden of Eden, this peaceable kingdom, but also with maybe a little bit of an uneasy peace. Our process has been creating, well, you'll see in this, when we show you the piece of work, we've always been interested in this borderline between reality and illusion, or the real world and the virtual world, even before we were working digitally. And this is something artists have been working with for centuries, hundreds, thousands of years. And in a sense, we use technology in a different way, but we're still working in that same tradition. And being able to work in a space like this is actually, it's a real privilege. So we have this screen, when we actually set switch all the lights off and we switch our lights on and set the projection up, the screen almost disappears. And we've always been interested in this almost augmented reality. You might have heard this word before, where you mix an illusion with reality. You mix and the reality is this space, and you here. And if you like, the illusion is what's going on the screen. And what you'll see on the screen are, and I've lost my place now, I was supposed to be reading off this, and now I'm freelancing. But what you will see on the screen are a series of creatures which have been scanned. So we've been working with 3D scans for quite a long time. And so we had about 20 animals of various types scanned from this collection at the Danon, at the old Danon. And so we end up with these files where you open them up and it's just this kind of big blob. And eventually you start to work with them, and they become transparent, and we can animate our way through them. But they have a real elegance and a sense of, they're not quite the same as the thing they've come from. There's a sort of a ghostly presence, and there's something of the spirit of the animal in them. But because us as human beings, we tend to interpret, we make stories up. So you put two things together and we automatically start making stories up. You'll be able to make your own stories up with these, and we have a soundtrack that has been derived from some of our own recordings, some harmonic elements, and some recordings from the Yorkshire Wildlife Park, particularly the lion's roar, which is buried in there somewhere. So we're very grateful for them to sort of provide, because it was a lion's feeding time, and I don't think they wanted us to go in there too much. So well, basically, I suppose we should do our thanks, and I've got a little thing to say about how you might want to interact with this. So we'd like to thank the Danon, Heritage Doncaster, letting us work their collection, QED, our production company, who've set this up. We dialed in we actually tuned the lighting a little bit last night, which was an amazing experience. Had everything dark, and myself and Anna, who we worked together, actually worked with the lighting designer here, and we actually dialed in all the lighting sequence to go with this. It's an amazing experience. And also Sally and Right Up Our Street, the whole team, and Doncaster Minster for being so welcoming, and especially, after this 20 months or so, I think it's 20 months or 100 months, who knows. It's just brilliant, actually, to finally see this project up and running. And when we walked in the other night, and they'd set the screen up, we'd been working over at the Danon, because there is a smaller version of this. It's quite distinctly different. It's on for longer, so when this is finished, you can go over to the Danon and see it. And I would urge you to go over and see it, because you will see it in a different light. And it's presented with the painting and with some of the taxidermy creatures, but it's set up in quite a different way. So I would urge you to go and see that. You've got longer to see that. So I think that might be about it. I can't think of anything else. Just a little thing about how you might want to interact with this. So when you first watch it, I can almost guarantee you'll all sit down, because it's quite full on. But what is really nice is if you can eventually is to get up and start walking around, because it's as much about how you interact with the space and the building as it is about just looking at a work on the screen, because the screen and the building are kind of in tune with each other, and it's amazing from the other side. So I would urge you, once you kind of get used to watching this, that you actually maybe start to mingle with the building and start to enjoy it in the round. So that's all I have to say. Enjoy yourselves.